becomes very critical because you don't have enough ad impression time on a phone. You don't the way you do on the web. So you're just not going to get enough ad impressions to make a lot of money with the mobile ads from just showing a banner. So it is local and local response, basically figuring out where you are and what can I offer you. That's really lead gen that makes the big money there.
And one other thing I'll add. When we actually did a very focused study on smartphone users, for the first time I think privacy is a concern for them. So we actually found that consumers are starting to think about privacy on mobile phones as being something that they actually think about.
Do you think that's really related to the whole privacy, the online privacy, that that's just gotten a lot more higher visibility?
Yeah, sure. And then there is also certain events that have happened over the last few months. I think with the location data on Apple and Google, I think that certainly has a lot of consumers. Not saying that they're definitely concerned, and whether they will stop using smartphones, I don't know, but certainly they're aware.
Like being tracked and watched.
The one thing I'd add on the tablet side, and the person from Yankee Group mentioned this. It wasn't too long ago. Everyone was asking the question, "What are we going to do? What are we going to do with these iPads? What are they for?" And I sit on the board of Next Issue Media, which is the consortium of the major publishers plus News Corp, and we're very focused on this. And depending on what metrics and forecasts you see, the ones that I saw over lunchtime today would say that by Christmas 2012, there will be 60 million tablets in the market. But the real interesting question is, of that 60 million, how much will be Apple and how much will be the Androids? So literally there will be 15 to 20 pretty good products coming out between now and Christmas based upon the Android platform. Whether they take or not, and what happens into 2012 is the big question. And I think the world is going to look completely different from a tablet standpoint and a consumer standpoint, depending on one or two scenarios. Does Apple continue to monopolize the tablet market, or will the Androids come and provide competition? We're hoping for the latter, not the former.
So let's actually poll the audience here. First of all, I have a question for everybody. I have not met anybody who doesn't love their iPad. Is there anybody here that doesn't love their iPad? And if so, what don't you like about it?
I think that the inability to do Excel or spreadsheets, things like that are a big hindrance for me using it for business, and so it tends to be more flagged.
Yeah,
Google Docs works. Google Docs spreadsheets work pretty well.
And they now support pivot tables.
Yep.
And there's no customer service, unless you go into the store, and often they just tell you they can't help you. So that is a definite shortfall, I think. If there's no way to get help, really, it seems.
So my next question is, who wins? Who wins?
If Google enforces a real standard on the Android tablets so that they all run the same software, they can win. What happened, I'm old enough to remember the Unix market, where we had to do 30 versions of Unix because every manufacturer wanted their own, and Microsoft DOS won because you couldn't generate a binary that would work on all 30 Unix systems. And it took until Linux came out that you could get to that point, and it was way too late. I think that has started to happen in Android, and Google has realized it and is trying to put a lot of pressure to pull that back. But it can win to the extent that winning means it will be a fairly large platform. Whether Apple will get the more margin, but Google will get more volume.
There's another point on Android that I'm worried about. I switched to Android a couple months ago. I was kind of sick of my iPhone, and the quality, the production value level on Android apps is far below iPhone apps.
Exactly.
And so it's not, and too many people are focused on how many apps are in the marketplace. That's not really it. If you take, it's the quality. I come out of the game design world. What we would refer to as production values. Mm-hmm. The production values of the typical Android app is far below the production value, except for some that kind of basically have matched, like Angry Birds or whatever. But other than that, it's a real problem, and I think it's going to come back eventually. There's going to be a backlash against it.
Yeah, I think because maybe the Android ecosystem is much younger
and open,
and iPhone,
right?
and open and first generation, and not cookie cutter like the SDK is for Apple.
Yeah, no, and Google has made the decision, which I think is a good one, except the maybe the unintended consequences, the production values of the apps in the marketplace.
Okay, so let's get a little hand-raising exercise. It's Christmas 2013. First, let's talk about the tablet market, okay? Who's going to have the bigger market share? So there's you can have 3 answers, right? You can have Apple, Google, 4 answers. Apple, Google, even, and neither. So i.e. somebody else. So let's raise our hand if we think Apple.
This is 2013?
By 2013.
End of 2013, Christmas 20... Yeah.
2.5.
And units,
This is tablets.
In units or in dollars?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
All right, which should we vote on, units or dollars? Units. Okay, let's try that again. Units. That's pretty much. Okay, what about, what was that, Apple? Google. Ooh, that's kind of, what do we think? It's kind of even, right? What about, they're even?
I actually think they're going to be even.
The panel agent said 2x.
Oh, no, I didn't know. Did more of the panel have Google?
I think all of them.
Almost all of us.
Oh.
No,
Whereas it was more 50-50 out here. Anybody other? Any? No. So basically, everyone thinks that it's a two-way race.
How about the RIM playbook? You got to throw that out there.
Well, that was other, but nobody's, right? Okay, so that was tablet. What about phone? Let's do Apple.
You buy units?
Units. Ooh, really?
It already is.
They're already behind.
Already behind. But dollars, it's a whole different game.
But we decided we can't talk about dollars. All right, so at least you guys are definitive on that one, I guess, right? All right, so let's move to the ad spend. And John, let's talk about where are we in the ad spend? Are the big dollars coming? Are they here? Are they not here?
Yeah. Well, this is our experience right now. And I'll focus on advertising for a minute, because I think there's a difference between advertising and marketing dollars, at least there is in our world. If you look at our big advertisers today, everybody wants to know more and more about mobile. But there's not really big dollar commitments in mobile per se. I don't think there's a critical mass, frankly, yet. There will be, but there isn't yet. But advertisers want a lot of free advice, but they're not at this point willing to commit great big dollars. As we move into more of a multi-channel approach, and we call it Merida 360 at Merida, but it's basically integrate the mobile across all your other platforms. Mobile is very, very useful, and it's going to become critical in that 360 offering. So we're seeing big marketing programs, advertising programs, which have a mobile piece to them. But within the big spend, mobile is relatively small, but it is the shiny new toy, and it's what everybody wants to talk about, so it kind of gets you over the goal line in terms of multi-million-dollar deals. As some of you may know, we have a very high-growth marketing services business, which is not advertising-based at all, that we've been very aggressively building out. And we've purchased mobile specialists, social media specialists, and that is focused on CRM dollars, not advertising dollars. And I can tell you our mobile specialist, the Hyper Factory, has literally secured multi-million-dollar accounts from big marketing companies, and also is pitching right now even more large accounts. So if you flip from the advertising side over to the CRM side, the below the line marketing dollars, especially when you look at what the auto manufacturers are doing in some of these large marketing companies, there's a huge opportunity there, and we're very excited about that.
So do you think that's because there's the ability to be more creative about sort of what you're using the phone for vis-a-vis marketing?
I think,
as opposed to just here's a teeny tiny screen to just put a display ad on?
You know, I mean, if you look at, what consumers do with these devices, I mean, advertising is not a natural way to convey a message, at least a traditional advertising model. But when you think about messaging, and when you think about couponing, and when you think about driving a call to action, which is what CRM is all about, these things are very, very useful. And as part of a 360 plan, a lot of companies are getting that, and they're willing to spend millions of dollars on marketing campaigns, of which social and mobile many times are the lead.
Well, I would add, so part of what you're seeing in an early market is a lot of production work, right? Nobody has assets, so you can make a bunch of money producing them for a while. The real question with that is, do you ever get out of the linearity of revenue and expense? It's a services model. I completely believe there's a large market opportunity with mobile advertising. It's been slow in standing up, but we'll see a convergence really of the coupon or the call to action is with the advertising. We sort of see that for every medium. So when you look at when I look at my 16-year-old using his phone, about half the purchases he makes are done through an ad placed, into Angry Birds, for instance. So you see a different use case forming up around the device and even the generation. But I would just say we don't have the critical mass. I agree with that. That's why companies like NextAge sort of trying to stand up, a broad reach and frequency of ads really do enable the opportunity. But I think it's the medium is perfectly capable of delivering powerful messages, both for engagement and branding as well as response.
And there are a few special cases, like with Transpera, which we ended up selling to Tremor. The movie studio, movie trailers was a perfect ad. It's mobile video, call to action, buy the ticket. It was perfect on the phone. But there's only so much of that, right? And so many impressions you can get. There are things that fit very well. With GroupMe, which is a group messaging application, we're getting a lot of interest for branding, not sort of traditional advertising, but branding at concerts, at venues, and so on. So we're seeing new opportunities because there aren't, as Mike says, there just aren't enough. There's not enough sort of supply yet.
It is early days, but I mean, and if you measure at the macro level, demand is still low because the budgets are small. They're science projects, or they're one-offs, or they're kind of pieces of bigger budgets. If you have the right inventory, though, what we're seeing in NextAge is if you have the right inventory that has the right targeting and is basically matches what that campaign needs, it gets snapped up like this at a very, very good price. So it's really all about today, if you really want to kind of maximize the revenue as opposed to kind of just building the ecosystem overall, it's about finding that right inventory against the campaign. But really, we still have a lot of work to do. It's very early days around what advertising looks like on mobile. We're really still approaching it as a least common denominator kind of thing. It's a banner because that's what we use online. Right. There's a ton of stuff, and it was mentioned earlier, a ton of things a phone can do around personalization, around devices on the phone, gyros and other things that we haven't even begun to tap. I mean, some of the rich media guys like Medialets and others have started to get into that, but we really haven't been able to scale that yet. As we scale that and as we provide measurement back to the type of advertising that demands, whether it's DM or otherwise, that demands that measurement, then I think you'll see it scale extremely well.
I heard a really interesting statistic a couple weeks ago that 60% of clicks on mobile ads are accidental, right? On mobile banner ads.
That's so frightening.
Because the guys that and Steve Jobs says this, right? Mobile ads kind of suck. Whoever took the banner ad from online, put it in the phone, actually ended up screwing up a lot of things for all of us on this panel that we're trying to fix. And I think what we're seeing now, whether it's a 360 approach or a contextual approach, is in context mobile advertising. Phone's in your pocket, knows where you are, knows what you're doing, right? If you check into a gym, or you say you're at a gym on Twitter, Coca-Cola can send me a Powerade right after my workout. Why not? In that same medium, not as a banner ad. Right. It comes over Twitter, it comes through Foursquare, it comes over Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, whatever medium that you're connected to. And I think that's the future of mobile advertising. The problem is where's the scale? We know scale is in mobile banners because media buyers love to buy and sell banners.
Right. Yeah, and if you also look at if it's brand advertising, I think some of the from Medialets and even on the iAd platform. I mean, if you look at some of the advertising on some of the iPad applications that are using that, especially if it's a rich media engaging, sort of like a mini app within the app. Yeah. These ads are really engaging. And so we're doing some work in early sort of just brand effectiveness metrics, and we compare the norms to TV. At least in the early studies, we've done about 7 or 8, so not a lot. But the branding effectiveness is really good. Mm-hmm. So the sight, sound, motion, and rich ads, I think, have a really good opportunity. Couple that with sort of the personalization, and if it's who the user is, it's highly targeted. So I think that's a really good opportunity.
Yeah. We consistently see in brand execution, both on tablet and phone, and I different perspective in which one is mobile and whether one is mobile or not. From the perspective of buyers, it's entirely unclear. In some cases, it's, in fact, in more cases than not, buying tablet inventory. It's print buyers, not even digital buyers at all. Right. But we consistently see on both platforms, whether it's iOS or Android, it doesn't meaningfully move the needle, engagement rates that are 3 to 10x what you see in the online space. So we'll see, as a category average, we're just about to publish, you get a preview of some new benchmarks, we're just about to publish a new set of benchmarks for all of the creatives that ran our platform in Q1. It was 2,000, 3,000 plus creatives, rich media creatives. The lowest category average was finance at a 7% engagement rate. I challenge you to find a 7% engagement rate anywhere in any other digital media. It doesn't exist.
So what was the highest?
The highest, oh Jesus, you're going to ask me to quote statistics, and I'm terrible at doing this. Wait a couple of days and you'll see the report published. Okay. But the highest number was